Konnichiwa, my name is Sakura. You arrived earlier than I thought. I hear you're interested in Tojo Hideki's biography. So today I'm going to be your guide through Tojo's youth. Tojo Hideki was born the 30th of December in 1884 in Kohimachi, a district of Tokyo. He was the third son of Hidenori Tojo, a general in the Japanese Imperial Army. In this time, Japanese society was divided into four castes: merchants, artisans, peasants, and samurais. His father was turned from samurai to army officer, and his mother was the daughter of a Buddhist priest, making the family honored but poor. Usual education on his district was the purpose of training boys to become soldiers. They had this ideology of war as a beautiful thing, that the emperor was a living god, and the greatest honor was died for him. Schools in Meiji era did not accept failure. It was intolerant, and even teachers would punish those who failed. Tojo did not have good grades in school, but he was known for his willingness to work hard. He was inspired by his father and followed his steps, graduating from the Japanese Military Academy. In 1905, he was commissioned as second lieutenant in the infantry and was outraged upon hearing of the Treaty of Portsmouth, which ended the war with Russia but did not end with Japanese annexation of Siberia. In 1909, Tojo got married and had 3 sons. Later, in 1918, he went to Siberia as part of the Japanese expeditionary to intervene the Russian Civil War. The Japanese were influenced by the intellectual developments of Germany and often imitated them. In 1922, Tojo took a train across the United States. From his travels, he concluded that Americans were materialists and they were only devoted to make money. In 1924, the Immigration Control Act was created, which banned all Asian immigrants from America. The reason for this was that Asians were harder than whites. This was very offensive for Japanese, so Tojo decided to write that Americans will never accept Asians as equals, and that the act showed that they put their own interests first. That's all from me. Now it's the turn of Monishasu-san to tell you the ideologies that characterize these relevant Japanese.
Hi, Kaku e Yokoso. My name is Marishasu. Let's go a couple of years back in time and take a look at the ideology that Tojo had. As mentioned before, he grew up in a family of military, so he was thought to be strict and rude. His regime was mainly characterized by brutality, from Japanese people to Allied soldiers and innocent people. His idea was to expand Japan as much as possible. His ideas were mainly inspired by Hitler and his ideologies. His decisions were mostly inspired by the Nazi Germany. He and his army caused one of the biggest racial discriminations on Asia. Japanese people had the feeling of racial superiority. The thing is that he never stepped on the battlefield, so he was never accurate in his war decisions. It caused the end of his own empire. Now it's time to Yuki to explain what Hideki did in the World War II.
It took you a lot of time to arrive. Morishasu-san spent a lot of time. Anyways, I'm going to explain you the participation and goals of Tojo Hideki in World War II. His main goal was to create a new Asian order, which intended to eliminate Japan's designation to fulfill the interests of the United States and Great Britain, countries that only sought their own prosperity and success. This objective supported the will to allow the bombing in Pearl Harbor. Of course, a lot of Tojo's generals didn't agree with him, but he thought that by doing this, he would prevent a war with the US and he will achieve his goals. The Pearl Harbor bombing had 3 main goals. First, for obvious reasons, destroy US important ships. Second, allow Japan to boost and strengthen their army. And third, restore Japan's position in the world. The attack on December 7, 1941 caused more than 2,403 deaths and left 1,000 people wounded, destroying 20 American ships. The next day, the US entered World War II and declared the war to Japan. This was the opposite thing the Japanese wanted to achieve. After this declaration of independence, Tojo led several battles against the United States, such as the Battle of the Philippines in 1941, when Japanese forces defeated American and Filipino armies, and as a consequence, invaded Philippines, until 1944 when the same armies recaptured territories such as Manila. Nevertheless, this lucky streak will be interrupted in the Battle of Midway in 1942, where the US had a definite victory over Japan, surprisingly destroying all of their fleets. This caused a huge damage in Tojo's prestige, who became less supported by the Japanese. Well, I think my time has ended. Hope you had understood the goals and participation of Tojo Hideki in World War II. Now it's time for Kaoru-san. See ya!
Hi people, my name is Karudosu and I will explain you about some of the violated human rights during the dictatorship of Tojo Hideki. One of the most important articles that were violated during this time was the article number 3, which is the right to life. A very good example for this was the attack of Pearl Harbor, in which more than 2,000 people died. Another article that was violated by this dictator was the article number 5, which was the freedom of torture. An example for this was that the Japanese had some POW camps, which were like the German camps, in which people in there were used as experiment, or maybe they could have a member of their body amputated or mutilated. So as you see, Tojo Hideki was one of the savage and violent dictators of all times. So, hey Carla. Oh, it's time to go. Bye guys.
Hi, my name is Karura. Welcome to 1944. We're almost at the end of our trip. So now that you know everything about Hideki's way of governing, I am going to explain to you the end of his regime. Japan's success in the war soon came to an end. The Japanese were pushed back from all their conquered territories and Tojo's popularity rapidly declined. The confidence in the Prime Minister was lost, and it became clear to almost everyone that Japan had lost the war. As a result, Tojo was forced to resign due to the fact that he couldn't sign a peace treaty and he couldn't guarantee the safety of his country. Hideki resigned on July 18, 1944 after Japan surrendered, and a week later General Douglas MacArthur ordered his arrest. Hideki did not submit and decided to kill himself. However, he failed and was nursed in a military hospital and then sent to trial. In trial, he was accused of mass murder, torture, imposing labor on civilians, destruction of cities, and other crimes. Tojo was sentenced in November 12, 1948 and was hanged 6 weeks later. Nowadays, these issues are extremely sensitive for Japan and neighboring countries, where millions died during Japan's invasions and brutal occupations. His image and legacy is kept now by his descendants, introducing the idea that Tojo was a great man or that he had no choice but to attack Pearl Harbor. This is the end of our trip. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you learn more about Hideki Tojo's dictatorship and Japan's participation in the war.